entrepreneur, mentor, and a Indian IT growth facilitator. He's led transformational projects in large organizations during his career, setting up the SSS cadre, the National Health Program, Policy Health Tank, and so on and so forth. He's served many organizations in the government as well. He's been involved with the Ministry of Program Implementation, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. He's served in leadership roles in the corporate sector across South Asia with companies like Accenture as its MD, with Microsoft as its country general manager, and then IBM. He was also the MD and CEO of Lahiri Mysore ESDM. Now, in terms of educational qualifications, he has an MBA, he's got an MPhil, he's also a Six Sigma, Lean Six Sigma belt certification, and he's got a bunch of other awards. And while all of this is there, the other interesting nugget that we picked up is he's also a poet. Now I don't know whether we'll have time for a poem, but we'll probably indulge him on a separate occasion. Yeah. So Sanjeev, please, happy to welcome you. Please.
Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And my chairman just left, respected chairman, and the great inspiration that I get is Professor Sadhguru. Sir, namaskar. Thank you so much for being here and motivating all of us. I wanted to talk a topic about democratization of entrepreneurship, what it means and why it is important for us as a whole. I'm not a technocrat where I can talk about AI or anything else. I can't. But I can definitely talk about something very different. On this, but how many of you are startups here on a VC forum? Startups and VC, how many of you are here? I could expect around 25, 30, 40%. So let me, my friend Madan just came back and he said we should start with something different, and I want to start with 2 lines. It was not prepared. And only for the startups and only for the Bangalore. Okay? And if you like it, then just please say cheers for yourself, not to me. सवाल जहर का नहीं था, सवाल जहर का नहीं था, वो तो मैं पी गया. सवाल जहर का नहीं था, वो तो मैं पी गया. और स्टार्टअप्स के लिए तकलीफ बाकी लोगों को तब हुई जब मैं जी गया. That's the startup for Bangalore. So this is what it means to startup ecosystem. And I was thinking around what should I talk to you when I come here. Then I thought, let me pick up a democratization of the entrepreneurship and why it is important for country and for the state. A lot of things are happening in the country at this front. If you pick up the infrastructure development, today it is not limited to Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad. It is Jaipur, it is Indore, Mysore, Mangalore, Hubli, Belgaum, Dharwad. You find any city, Kalburgi. You find the cities which is coming up in infrastructure, connectivity with the road network, connectivity with the knowledge. When a panchayat is getting connected with optical fiber, imagine what we're looking at a new highway. So this is a very different level of India which is emerging. The second one which is emerging is the consumer behavior. If you look at the consumer behavior in the different phenomena, yes, Bangalore is great in terms of adopting the new ideas. But dear friends, the other cities in the town are not far behind. In fact, they are looking at creating those acceptance of new models. When I was talking to Tata Digital CEO, Mr. Prateek Pal, and he was saying that, look, Sanjeev, we are looking at creating a Chrome center in every district, sub-district level as well. Why? Because the consumer behavior is drastically changing. This means an opportunity of a new market. Second piece. The third one is when you look at the economic growth from some of the important cities. I don't know whether you track, you might be looking at the GDP and some India's number and maybe a state numbers. Have you ever noticed that the cities like Mysore or cities like Jaipur or Indore are growing by 40% of economic growth? 40%. Very different domains. Another statistics is that 2/3 of that growth is actually coming from local demand. Where are we? Are you observing these statistics and looking at something very differently coming up in India? And that is where I come with the thought process that this is very different market. And hence, we need to look at what are those things that we look at defining the democratization. When I say democratization, let me just put up two words. What it means is, in a typical language of Mahatma Gandhi, right, simply says that no barriers for any kind, no challenges of any kind, to the gender, age, economic levels, etc. You should be able to flourish yourself where you are. If that's the case, then the challenge point of is how we are addressing this. How are we looking at it from a systematic perspective or a policy perspective? And every one of you as an important stakeholder into this. If tomorrow new customer of your idea, if you're not able to listen the voice today, then you are not a stakeholder of your business. So that means from a business perspective or an investment perspective or a policymaker perspective or enabler perspective, you need to understand that this is what's going to happen shortly, not too far from today. That's one part of it. Then if you look at some of the things which is happening at the grassroots level, Madan's great examples and many other examples are solving the local problems with a technology bent. Today you go to any city, we call this term called jugaad, right? We don't like this term today. But actually it was an innovation. It is an innovation, it will be respected as innovation, and everybody will write a Harvard business paper onto the jugaad as well. So be it is. But dear friends, more important is they're solving the local problems of a supply chain, the local problems of a hardware, which can be much more efficient, a local problem of simply solving the problems of doctor's visit. How do we come out with these some examples which can be really scalable at a larger scale, at India and maybe outside India as well? So these are some of the constructs which I observe, and I feel that my hypothesis of India's aiming for a digital economy cannot be led upon only on Chennai, Hyderabad, Bangalore, or of these important cities of Gurgaon. It has to be 100 other cities in the country. And that is the one proposition that I put forward today. And I would like to address the saying that how do we do this? What are those different principles on which we need to address that? So when I was thinking around it, I just got it down around 10 important principles on which this philosophy of mine or an approach of mine can have some impact. What are those 10? Number one, how do we create a thought process in the students where it's not about employment, it's about being an entrepreneur or an employer? How do we create that thought process? Not at Bangalore, guys. Please just leave the thought process here. You're looking at a very down, at a tier 2 degree college student who has somehow reached to that level. You're trying to influence the thinking around him that you cannot be just looking out for employment opportunities. Dear friend, if you have an idea, you can become an employer. How do you infuse that in that? That's the one pillar of an ecosystem that we need to bring in. How do we do that? So that means all of us needs to now look at the academic institutions from a faculty towards a thought process in the faculty, and then the teaching style of looking at, hey, you have an idea, I want to work with you. Let us start discussing about it. And that is what is happening. I'll tell you about this later. But this is one important element of our principles of democratization of entrepreneurship. Second, how do we create the funnel of various ideas coming up every year-to-year basis continuously? If you can find one academic institution in 1 year got some good work done, how do we sustain this flow of ideas coming in place on a longer period of time? Per semester, per year, new ideas. How do we create that funnel of an ideas? Second one. The third one is how to create incubation thought process into the institutions, not academic alone, industry as well. And for this, you need to understand that we need to create local industry ecosystem. Bring out a sharpness of this local industry ecosystem of that part, because that's a very important magnet of ideas and innovation. So local industry ecosystem becomes the fourth important pillar to sharpen this nicely as a principle of democratization of entrepreneurship. Another element is how do you create the inclusiveness? It's not about if I am an English speaking guy, somebody who's a Kannada speaking guy cannot think about it. Somebody who is a woman cannot think about it. Or a diversity for any matter. How do we create an inclusiveness in the formation of an entrepreneurship? Are we encouraging that? Are we really doing that effort onto the frame? That's a very important element for us to look at a democratization of entrepreneurship. How do we create the local HNIs feel proud now? Oh, I have a showroom of some automotive dealer. Fantastic. I run a Mercedes, etc. My business is growing. My kids are fine. how do you infuse in him or her, you can also be an important HNI playing a role of yours in that ecosystem as an innovation leader or an investment circle for that matter. How do we create that? Recognize HNIs, put them into a system, give them the understanding, and put them into a local of startup that can start investing in. Another one is, if at all, then how do you accelerate that? How do you accelerate that process as an accelerator? हम लोग समझते हैं what an accelerator means is, right? You need to define that. But how do we create that accelerator ecosystem into the democratization principles here and those locations? And then, two important things which everybody needs is capital and market. How do you infuse a capital flow there? And how do you create a markets, local, and connection of a market like a pipe towards the India market or pan-India or moving across the world? How do you create that market linkages? These are 9. And the last 10 is where I, as a KDEM, and TiE from Madan stands and says enablers. We need enablers like us to stitch this story together. And if we do not do this job together, we will not be able to success. And for this reason, Karnataka Centrum says, let's make a mission for ourselves. Let's make a mission for ourselves where we say 5% of state GDP should come from startup ecosystem. Tell me one state which make this statement. Say cheers to Karnataka. We make a statement. I don't know whether we will be able to give the numbers where we are, but we know the direction where we're going towards. We will be reaching somewhere or the other. 101% sure. That is one statement. The second statement comes up is, let's pick up that our clusters will grow up. And all these principles, if I start picking up from ideas, a funnel, you know the story of NAIN, New Age Innovation Networks. What is that? It's nothing else but to fund the ideas at the grassroots level of institutions, of faculty teaching the idea, converting the idea, and then put up a module of entrepreneurship on top of it. That's called NAIN. You have got institutions of NAINs in Karnataka or across the tier 2. You go to any district, you will find some NAIN institutions there. This has been there for many years. Why Karnataka is ahead and why Karnataka will be ahead is because of this investment which has been done in these regions. The second important thing, what Karnataka is doing is, how do we create an HNIs? Yes, some IT guy who has done a great job there, company set up, Rohit Bhatt, you know everybody, Roversoft, did a fantastic job based out of Udupi. Is he one person who can make an ecosystem for HNI? There are hundreds of HNIs there, but bring them together. And who can bring them together? Again, an enabler. So Madan said, okay, fine, let's set up a TiE Bangalore receptor. Guys, if you do not know, TiE Bangalore taking a larger responsibility in creating that ecosystem. And that is what is happening around. Those HNIs of different fields. A cement industry player is coming and saying, I want to be part of TiE Mysore or TiE Bangalore. Why? Does he understand the technology? But he wants to be in this club because now he understands if he is part of growing the circle, he needs to be that level. And we as an enabler need to look a little like a positive fertilizer, put up more crop inside and say, boss, you can do wonders. And we are with you. That's the way we are doing the exercise. Then the capital, the cluster seed fund that my chairman was talking about. No other state in India has ever done an experiment called as cluster seed fund. A cluster seed fund dedicated only for clusters in Mysore, Bangalore, and Hubli. No other states. Are we taking a calculative risk? Yes, we are. Are we able to demonstrate the model? Yes, we are. Whether we will success or not, I don't know. But with your partnership, I think we will be in some way or the other. These are the certain things that we are trying to put together in academic institutions. Then looking at the industry network and relationship. We started a concept, and July Ventures is one here who has been supporting us in taking up the initiative at the grassroots level. What they're trying to do is, they said, we'll come to your town at Mysore, sit down with you and listen to your pitch. VCs going there and sitting, looking at that understanding. Likewise, many other VCs came from Bombay. For many other locations, they turn up. They went to Mangalore and sit down there and have patience. Now, once they go there, the eyes get open, that there's something happening around it. And thus, you get industry connect, you get capital connect, you get a funnel of ideas, incubation centers, and then on top of this, the accelerator programs comes on the top of it, which my chairman was talking about. I don't want to lay down all this, I'll take a limited time here. What I was trying to picturize is, ladies and gentlemen, we need to infuse a thinking of that Bangalore is, yes, will be ahead, but we are creating more Bangalores outside Bangalore as well. And startup ecosystem is not a responsibility of alone startups. Startup ecosystem is the responsibility of important players like TiE and like KDEM, and all the other stakeholders who are sitting in this audience. And if I just take a last 1 minute of my time here, as a special request to all of you, if you feel what I said is connecting into your heart and mind, please reach out to us in a TiE or a KDEM and say, I want to work with you to make this ecosystem much more wonderful. We need more people like you. With this, thank you so much for giving me time today. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjeev, for the clarion call, for giving us the 10 commandments of democratization of entrepreneurship, and also for broadening the focus to Bharat, plus, of course, the Shairana Andaj. I'm going to request Madan, who's here, to come on stage, and there's a small memento for Sanjeev. Can you please come on stage, please? Right, thanks Sanjeev and Madan. We'll move on to the next session, which is where I'm going to